Okay. All right. So, spiritual warfare is the talk. I'm going to start out with a story here. All right. I was in California, driving to Granite Bay, California. Anybody been to Granite Bay, California here? Raise your hands. Granite Bay? Awesome. Granite Bay. Did you go to AFY? No? You just went to Granite Bay. So I went to Granite Bay, California for a session. Amazing Facts puts on for the youth since 2021 or 2022. And so my friend Abrielle and I drove from Montana with our families. That's Abrielle and I. And we drove to Granite Bay. And so it was a long road trip and we wanted to make this fun. And so what we did is we would stop at Mendocino, California. Who's been to Mendocino, California? It's a pretty place, right, Pastor? Mendocino, California. And in Mendocino, it had nice little boardwalk with cute little stores with seashells and books and ice cream and ice cream and ice cream. And you could walk and you could see the ocean. And it was just a beautiful place. And so my family, Abrielle and I, we were walking along. And we went into one store. And I noticed on the shelves there was something interesting. And on these shelves, I first saw little books that looked kind of unusual. And I was thinking, what are these books? And I was thinking of like different plants you could put in some little rocks. And then you'd see a seashell and a cute little cooking book. And then there was that interesting book. And I was thinking, this doesn't look right. And so the first lady I talked to, and I said, so what is this? And she says, well, this is just about books about, when you like Zen and what you feel like and what your mind can be calmed and herbs and natural things to make your life better. And I wasn't completely buying it, but I kept asking her questions and she says, well, I'm not really into like all that stuff. I don't really know about what that is. But the lady down a few shops later, she's the one who owns it and she's really into it. So we said goodbye to that lady and we walked down the street and Abrielle and I looked in a few more cutesy shops. And as we looked in there, I went to the next one and as soon as I opened the door, remember there's that little chalk sign, they put by stores to put their little drawings on and what they're selling, what they're advertising. And I walked into there and I remember seeing that there was like half moons and hanging from the windows were little gems and rocks and gems and more rocks and little cards on the shelves. And it said tarot cards or different things all over the store in between items. And as my friend Abrielle and I, we were looking through the shop, we said to ourselves, we are in a spiritualism shop. This is witchcraft. And we were thinking and we looked at it and I saw the lady at the counter. I still can see it in my head. I can still see her behind that counter in the corner. And I walk up to her because there was no one else in the shop. And I thought, for some reason, I think God is impressing me. You should talk to her. Ask her questions. Little did I know where this conversation would lead. I asked her, so are you the owner of this shop? And she says, no, I'm not the owner of this shop. I said, with all these tarot cards and everything on these shelves, do you practice these items? And she looked and she's like, well, no, the lady that owns our shop, she's the one who really practices it. But I know a little bit about it, and yes, I'm kind of into it. And I said, do you mind if I ask you some questions about what you believe and what these tarot cards are for? And she says, yeah, go ahead. And so I started to ask her questions. I said, so what do these cards do for you? And she looked at me and she says, well, I have these tarot cards. And at night, when I go home from work, I lay my tarot cards out, and then I have them out, and the spirits will come into the room and they will tell me exactly what I need in my life. If I'm having a really stressful day and a really bad day, they will tell me that I need more love and happiness in my life and that I should get that and achieve it. I said, really? And she says, yeah. And I said, so like we hear about Ouija boards and stuff like that. Do you practice that as well? And she says, yes, I do sometimes, and it will give me the answers to what I need, but the tarot cards, it will tell me what I need in my life. I said, really? And so as she was telling me, she went in deep detail of how she does each practice, how the spirits come into the room, and how they talk to her about her life. I remember as we kept talking, it got so deep into the conversation of spiritualism. So deep, questions and answers that I had never asked myself or never knew about in that world. And as I was talking with her, I have never felt this in my life before. That was the one and only time, and I hope it was the one and only time. But I remember standing there, and I was talking to her. It felt like the circulation and oxygen of the room just left. And I felt something pushing down upon my body as I started to talk to her about Jesus. It was like a force. If you've ever had been tackled by people, you feel them on top of you, right? You feel that pressure of weight on top of your chest, on top of your body. And I staggered back. I remember this. I staggered back. I had to put one foot behind the other. And I remember as the oxygen went out of the room, I felt so faint as if I was about to fall. And the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, this is spiritual warfare. And as I talked to her about Jesus, I said, Jesus, in my mind, I said, Jesus, the only way that I can tell Jesus to this woman is if you make some opening in this conversation so deep entrenched into spiritualism. And as the oxygen was going out, I said, Jesus, God, you are stronger than her God. You are more powerful than her spirits. And when I claimed that promises and said, God, you are stronger than her God, I felt that presence lift off of my body, the oxygen start flowing through my lungs again, and the answers come into my head. I said to this woman, I said, have you ever felt peace from these tarot cards? Have they given you the peace that you ask for at night? And she stopped. And she paused. And then she looked up at me and said, no, but I'm getting closer. What did she say? She's getting closer. Have you ever heard someone say that or heard people talk about gamblers that way? That they should gamble maybe one more time, maybe one more dollar, one more scratch pad, one more time because they're what? They're getting closer. Are they truly getting closer? They are not. The same lie that gamblers believe, the same lie that so many people believe, the same lie you may believe, is the same one she believed. That she was getting closer. I continued the conversation with her, not by my power, nor my grace, but it was God's power who gave me these answers because I had no idea what to say to this woman who had just told me about all her life, all the spirits that come into her life. I believe God was telling me, he said, ask her about the Bible. Start asking her questions. Tell her about Jesus. And because I just stood there talking with her at the counter for at least it seemed like 20 minutes deep entrenched into spiritualism, she stopped and listened. She started asking questions after I asked her about the Bible. I said, have you ever read the Bible before? And she says, no, but I've heard the Bible has been changed many times. And I said, have you heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls before? And she says, no, what are the Dead Sea Scrolls? I said, well, archaeologists have found while they are going through in this cave, they say this boy, that's goat herder, threw a rock into this cave, and when he threw it, he heard shards of clay break. And when he heard that, they went inside and they found inside this clay that there were original manuscripts of what we find in the Bible. And she said, I've never heard of that before. And I said, they document that it's exactly the same thing in the Bible and that it has not been changed. She says, I've never heard about that. And I said, I have found true peace. I have found true peace, and every night when I go to bed, I have true peace. Because she just told me, right? What she just told me, she was getting what? But I said I had it when? Now, right? she's getting closer, but I had it now. So I thought maybe God was saying, tell her that you have it now. She doesn't have to keep going. You have it now. So I said, I have true peace, and I find it through Jesus. And I had to go, and I was like, my mom and them had been waiting so long in the store, and so I was like, I have to go now. And so as my friend Abrielle, my mother, and I were walking out, my mom and Abrielle said, we were praying for you the whole time, Oceana. She says, we didn't know what to do in the store for so long, so we just prayed as we looked like we were shopping. We just kept praying that God would help you. And so Abrielle and I ran to our car where my family does something kind of special. Any road trip we go on, even if we're not going on a road trip, my dad loads the car with ammo. It's loaded. You know what kind of ammo we load our car with? The Great Controversy. Every single door in our Ford Escape or Toyota has like 2 Great Controversies per door, and each of the, any cubby is filled with Great Controversies. Because we want any opportunity that God opens that we can hand someone a book that helped change my family's life. We grabbed the book, and we wrote a letter inside of it, and we wrote her name, and I said, I want you to start with, I forgot if it was chapter 29 or 39 of the Great Controversy. It's about spiritual darkness and how sin came into the world and how Satan comes and deceives us. And I handed her this book kind of nervous because this is all she believes, and it's telling her that it's all wrong. And I said, I think you'll find it interesting. Start with chapter 29. And she looked at it, and I said, it's how evil came into the world. And she says, my boyfriend and I will start reading it together. I think he'll find it very interesting. I have no idea what happened to that woman, if she's still right now practicing tarot cards and spirits are wandering all over her room and house and her heart. But I know that God put people in places for a reason. The reason I'm telling you this story is because I want to show you how real darkness is. As Christians, you have heard probably growing up that Satan wants your heart, that Jesus died for you. You've heard it so many times. It's probably like one of those songs you hear at Costco or Kmart or wherever you hear music, and it just it's in the back of your mind so subconsciously that you don't really hear it anymore. You're just shopping and it's in the background. Maybe Jesus' story is in the background for you in your mind, and it doesn't feel real for you anymore. But it's so real that spirits wander around. It's so real that people practice spiritualism. But when I felt that I could not hold any longer, I realized something that 2 Corinthians tells us. It says, but he said unto me, my grace is what? Sufficient for you. My power is what? Made perfect in your weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insult, in hardship, in persecution, in difficulties. For what? When I am weak. When I am weak, what is the rest?
I am strong.
Then I am strong. When I am what? Weak. Then I am strong. I was weak in that moment, but only by Jesus' power am I strong. There are so many things in your life, I am sure, I'm not even needing to guess, unless by some miracle you are a saint, that in your life you feel like you are getting closer. Let me give you some examples. Have you ever binge watched on YouTube or Instagram? You scroll once. What happens to your finger? It keeps on going, right? It's like you've got a little robot in your finger. And then your mom probably has to go help with the chores, and your finger's still and or your computer, you're scrolling, right? It's like something's in your finger. Because your need and your satisfaction hasn't been filled. You want a little bit more, right? Am I correct? Yeah? Have you guys done that? Who's innocent of never doing that? Okay, see? Well, no one's saints here. Okay. It says that over 40 million adults in the U.S. have anxiety disorder. It says that over 660,000 people in the United States alone have attempted to commit suicide since 2021. That's more than 500,000 people. So it's showing you that suffering is real. The battle is real. There are wars that we do not see that are waging. Just look around you. Do you not see pain? Do you not see suffering? I can imagine that each one of you have one person that if I ask you to think of them, someone you know is in pain right now. Someone you know is sick. Someone you know is suffering. Someone you know is going through something unimaginable. There is someone. Why is that happening? Because in Revelation it says that there is a war going on between Michael and his angels and that dragon. Michael is only used, for you guys who don't know, the word Michael in the Bible is Jesus. But whenever you hear Michael, you know it is in the context of war. What context? Context of war. That means there is a war going on between Satan and Jesus. But yet we have a promise. A promise after we know what's going on. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness, against this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Who are we fighting against? Spiritual wickedness. Okay, let me hear that louder. What are we fighting against?
Spiritual wickedness.
One more time. What are we fighting against?
Spiritual wickedness.
Spiritual wickedness. You must realize what you are fighting against before you can fight it. Is that true? You cannot go into a battle not knowing who the enemy is. It's like going to play capture the flag and not knowing who's on your team. But we have a promise, and this is the promise. In 1 Corinthians 10:13, it says, there hath no temptation taken you that is common, but as common to man. But God is what? God is faithful. What does it mean to be faithful? Ladies, one of you, what does it mean to be faithful? What? What does it mean to be faithful?
Be loyal.
To be loyal? Okay, that is good. Loyal, what's another word? Those are all good. I'm looking for all of them. Speak up. Trusting. Humble. Okay, loyal, trusting, true, humble. What else am I missing here? Honest. God is all those things. He is loyal, trustful, true, and He has promised you that He will not allow you to go past what you can endure. Have you had a parent, a father, a mother, or someone who has pushed you to your limits? Yeah? Have they pushed you till you couldn't go and they caught you? Yeah? Pushed you till you couldn't go. Either on a bike, at school, pushed you and pushed you and pushed you, and you thought you couldn't keep going, but they were there because they did not allow you to be tempted to go above what you were able to take. That is God's promise. He will not do that to you. It says that He will make a way of escape that you can, what? Bear it. There are so many things that we feel like we're outwitted in. Right here in Ephesians 6:11, it says to do what? What does it say to do, guys? What does it mean to put on the whole armor of God?
Read the Bible.
Read the Bible?
Listen to your parents.
Listen to your parents? Usually? Yeah, let's just say yes. As long as what your parents are saying is going according to God's word, yes, God wants us to honor our parents always. God wants us to spend time, like you said, reading the Bible. Now, I will tell you another story. I wasn't planning on telling, but we are good on time currently. I ran into spiritualism closely twice, only twice that I remember of, the main two. I was in Washington near Goldendale with our friends, the Robinsons, missionaries from Taiwan. And so they have this place called like the Stonehenge, but it's a replica of the one that you find back in the UK. And so as we were going, I was going to film one of our ministry videos, and as I went there with my friends, I saw these beautiful women in white dresses. Beautiful dresses. And they had these little crowns around their forehead, just beautiful. And they were dancing like this, and they were dancing in a circle, just dancing inside this Stonehenge. And as they were dancing, I looked at it, and I heard the music, and it's so repetitive. It sounded like New Age music. I was like, something doesn't sound right here. And my friends kind of laughed at me. They're like, Oceana, they're just doing yoga. And I'm like, okay. And as we waited for them to leave, as sun set, each of the women held hands and they went around this big Stonehenge building like this. And they watched the sunset. And as you went inside the Stonehenge where they were, there was a broken shards of, tile or something in a different special order. And I still don't know what this was, but they had a mason jar, and they flipped the mason jar, and there were some notes inside this mason jar around where they shredded shards of pottery or whatever it was. And so my friends and I wanted to know more specifically and what they were doing. And so I walked over to these ladies, and I said, so what are you doing? And so they said, well, we're just having fun, one said, and my friend kind of looked at me and was like, told ya. And then another lady who looked like the leader with the authority, she walked in, she came and she said, well, we just came to celebrate, and we were dancing with the spirits. She made it like a nonchalant comment. Dancing with the spirits. And I said, dancing with the spirits? And she says, yes, with the holiday that just passed, the spirits are very active. What holiday do you think we had just passed? Halloween. It has just been Halloween. And so she said the spirits are very active right after this holiday. And I thought to myself, I said, that was Halloween. And it hit me. These women were in there dancing to the spirits, dancing to the devil and to the evil angels. You realize how much you need God when you realize what happens when you don't have God. God promised you that He is powerful, like a two-edged sword. You've probably heard this Bible verse, but you are helpless if you don't have Him. How long should you carry a sword in battle?
Forever.
As long as you want to live, right? You don't run into a battle unless you want to live with a sword. In health, you have your body. And this is from a kid's health thing, and I thought it was interesting. It says when your body detects an antigen, something foreign in your body, what does it do? They are made to lock onto it, and once the antigen is recognized, your immune system can remember it the next time and protect you from getting sick again. That's how it happens, right? You're supposed to have that with you guys in your life, guys. When you feel like you don't know what to do, go to God's Word and say, is this an antigen in my life? Is this TikTok an antigen in my life? Is this TikTok going to make me stand against the wiles of the devil? Am I powerful enough without God's Word and just TikTok videos to survive? Can I watch Netflix once a week and watch God's Word once a week and feel like I am powerful enough, I have enough swords in my belt, I have a sharp enough sword to protect myself from the devil? The devil is very real, and more real than you probably realize. He is so real, he's a roaring lion, the Bible says. Are you strong enough? And if you think you are strong enough, you are probably not. For the Bible says when you are weak, who is strong? God is strong. So when you think you are strong, you are probably what? You are probably weak. I think this turned off. Here's our handheld mic. No worries. Okay, let's try this one. All right, there we go. Well, I'm going to skip through some of these, and I want to read you a quote. Actually, I want one of you to read the quote. Let's see, from the guys. I want someone from the guys. Do you read?
Not only does God require you to control your thoughts, but also your passions and affections. Your salvation depends upon your governing yourself in these things. Passion and affection are powerful agents. If misapplied, if set in operation through wrong motives, if misplaced, they are powerful to accomplish your ruin and leave you a miserable wreck without God, without hope.
Thank you. You guys say thank you? What's your name?
Thank you.
Johnson. Thank you, Johnson. What will it leave you guys before I'm going to leave rocket. What will it leave you?
Miserable.
A miserable? What's the last word?
Wreck.
A miserable wreck. There you go. Without God and without what? Do you want to be a miserable wreck? What do you need to not be a miserable wreck? You need God. What specifically? What is your sword in life? Huh? The Bible. You need God as your sword.